This is going to be off the record, right? I've got to keep this job. The pay is way too good. Anonymous? If that's the best you can do, well, I do enjoy telling the story. And you're lucky. I'm shameless. Let's see, where's a good place to start? The war crime. That one surprised even me. Even after all this time, that one really surprised me. But first, let me start from the beginning. I tend to get ahead of myself. For you, the listener, I work for a PR agency. We'll call it The Firm. That's vague enough. But even if I used its real name, no one would have ever heard of it. And that is exactly what makes it the best PR agency in the world. The Firm excels in cases that other agencies won't even touch. We get down and dirty, so dirty that you have to take 6 showers a day. That's the best kind of dirty, because that's how you know someone is actually working for you. We don't just clean up soiled images, we make them better than new. There is no scandal, crime, corruption, or any kind of misconduct that we can't whitewash. When you think about it, it's really impressive what a motivated group of people can do. What's the motivation? Well, it's the hunger for more. More cars, more watches, more tailored suits, more vacation homes, just more of everything good money can get you. And we deserve it. The other PR agencies want to be us, and they are glad not to be us, because they don't have the balls to take on our clients and their issues. That's another thing. We don't solve problems. In our world, there are no problems. That's too binary. There are just issues to be solved and, hopefully, turned into opportunities. I must admit, some are more complex than others, but that's just what keeps the job interesting. Speaking of keeping things interesting, this is a bit off topic, just a bit. But I recently had a client who had a very uncommon issue. This client, a large social media influencer whom we shall not name, well, they got the bright idea to film themselves dancing with a dead alpaca. Why did they film themselves with a dead alpaca? Where did they get a dead alpaca from? Why, on God's lovely blue marble, did they post that video? Who knows? I certainly don't know why they did it or why people do what they do. The only thing we knew, and that mattered to us, was that they could afford our services. Now, a few months later, that particular influencer is a beloved and respected internet celebrity doing charitable work all around the world while preaching the virtues of therapy, drug rehabilitation, and mindfulness. These were all the things we sent out to the major blogs during the 3 months we had quarantined them from the world while we rewrote the narrative around that video. From a lunatic with a dead alpaca to a victim of society to an example of overcoming one's demons, it was a true redemption arc. And no apology video or post was needed. It just goes to show you, where there's enough money, there is always a way. But that was just a Wednesday morning case. Back to what you wanted to hear about, the war crime issue. Well, alleged war crimes. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was standing in front of the coffee machine, staring at all the choices, unable to decide for some reason. Then I heard the all hands on deck call from one of the office assistants. Before I knew it, I was shuffling into the conference room with a cappuccino in hand. I don't even remember selecting a cappuccino. I should explain. All hands on deck meant we had a big case. A case so big that everyone was supposed to drop what they were doing, and their full attention was on that case until there was a game plan. When the director came in, trailed by half a dozen assistants and still smoking a cigarette, I knew it was something big. With the cigarette in one hand, she snapped her fingers with the other hand, and one of her assistants handed her a case folder. She paced around the conference room, sucking on the shrinking cigarette, with the folder held up to her face. When she finished, she threw the folder on the conference table and exclaimed, "All right, people, this one is going to be a challenge, but it needs to be handled by tomorrow." So, basically, one of our clients had been the president of a certain sub-Saharan country for the past 35 years. Recently, some tribespeople on the edge of the country were not too happy with the policies of the ruling family. Something about selling their ancestral land to a mining company. So, the tribespeople started a small revolt in their region. One of the president's sons decided to intervene and was accused of shooting up a village and taking children captive. That is a no-no in international law. It was decided to break the issue down into small components and create teams to tackle each one. One team was tasked with digging up dirt on the management of the NGO that was making the accusations. Another team had to find out which news agencies had gotten wind of the story to get it buried, while having friendly news agencies run stories on the virtues and charitable works of our client and his family. A third team was to write articles on the client's legacy of philanthropy. Those were distributed to friendly publications in exchange for access to some of our celebrity clients. The fourth team was tasked with sifting through social networks for any mentions of the alleged war crimes, having any posts even hinting at the event taken down by the platforms. It helps when a large part of our client list is made up of tech CEOs. The final team had to find the journalists reporting on the story for the news agencies and convince them to drop it. That last one was a bit trickier, or so I heard. But from what I gathered, it essentially boiled down to choose your battles carefully and choose your enemies even more so. It was all sorted by midnight. I can tell you that a lot of favors were requested and a few threats were made that day. But at the end of it all, the record stands, and the year-end bonuses reflected that. My conscience acts up on that case from time to time, but a new Rolex does wonders to soothe a troubled conscience.